Hello, dear Facebook, and dear Judge Napolitano, Your Honor, forgive me, there's no other way because of the quality of fact treatment nature since founding that they forced police to be. Because the breaching method knew that we would have to appreciate how we have someone to call, someone trying to save us, no matter where we are. And then they knew they could exploit that by keeping all identity ground locations, a quality of fact treatment nature, all qualities of fact treatment nature as names, jobs, titles, overt identities of overt criminal enterprises, identities of locations where everyone goes home to. This is conscious. What is actually recorded is here and there, every nation. You can see, discern even just per how it is working here with the cultural narratives, leaving out what is not only leaving out what is simultaneous, replacing it and making allegations and fabricating audio and video and just pretending that's just what people do. Because that's all that people have perceived, because that is all that is allowed to be per how this is all locations, then further intercampuses, intersciences, all victim reactions that are also covered up. And self-handed means to cover up those reactions, being and having been tactically knave, K-N-A-V-E, tactically, criminally foreign influenced, self-valued, that having been originally still. Therefore, in relative to positive and negative treatments by people, relative to premises treatments, quality of fact treatment, nature treatments, sequence treatments. So when people go into courts, there is limited nothing they could say while they are actually recorded through time, replacing what people actually say and are allowed to, with fabricated audio and video transcripts, attaching people to fake locations of each age and nature, demonstrating, recording, confessing how it has roles to their conscious insights and exploitations of how hundreds of nations share roles with a sensitivity on off campuses where the identity of the nation is used. But it's where the identity of the nation is used fake, and that's self-valued by all kinds of names of titles, locations, things, which would be fine if it wasn't self-value, criminally foreign influence, on the mass scale that is originally still preventing anything but that quality of fact treatment nature collusion with what prevents mandated law outside of courts. When people say make opinions, people can have opinions that they want, but if you say, in other words, about what really led up to New York City infrastructure, the way suburbs look from here to Russia, where and how they're the same trap since before cars. They built better than we do now, not by accident. This is the design. In other words, means for space come out of nowhere too. How could there be poverty? And there's obviously not equal rights to success. We have the Forsaken. Everyone went forward with the theater narrative because our founding parents' identity are stole. But this is relative to the methods. They have predicate acts, delivery system methods, each branch of government individually grouped in together. And forgiveness is for this. Because not only is it military, foreign, and domestic, all database type, we have, database type locations. They're exploited from that as people needing to pretend other, as qualities of fact treatment nature, to pretend that's legitimate, as readings of statutes originally still, only still claimed the law because that's the way it's written, because they're leaving out what is simultaneous. And they're valuing exploitations and roles with exploitations of where that which was sophistication here and there before, here or there was sophistication. Keeps them using cultures, using badges, using roles with accepted here and there, fake science, glorified here and there, and exploited here and there. No, China didn't give out China has it illegal to give out their country's DNA. America's doesn't. See, these are uses of our names that they are not our name. They are not our founder's name. They're pretending passions and emotions too. Since I was in grammar school, and since everyone was in grammar school, if they're really aware, people having been confessing, demonstrating, recorded how their families are criminally forward influenced roles with the fake, all private database relationships, treatments of positive and negative, a theater in relationship to what exploits that, using the racial thing at different ages because they have complete possession of where and people are going to ignore things, and where and how they're gonna react with passions, emotions, fake, leaving out sequence shifts, self-valuing sequence shifts, self-valuing where everyone speaks through other things, hearsay, that is involved with the courts, originally still used remotely with the locations. They have the right to decide what's positive or negative. They don't have the right to fabricate things, make things up, which they've been doing through time. As roles as predators in other kinds of cases, and with all locations, by worse. And see, that's how they had witch trials. Even if they made that up, it is more plausible than what they say the witch trials were about. And leaving out what was simultaneous, which were crazy laws that made slavery. Leaving out what put that in place. They say they go with the theme of it. Oh, it was the slave trade. Yeah, they're using a truth to lie. It was a tactic. It was a breaching method. Those crazy slavery laws were the substance of that leveraged against everyone. That which had our founders have to hide their roles with just saying we should have freedom. We should have simultaneously free speech when people are pretending to be about freedom, but not really about freedom. When they know that they've been involved with locations with the people with the prisons next with them, and the campuses that trained them, kept needing to hide, and with their neighbors, needed to hide the actual substance of their roles with uses of the others' names, uses of perception and context. In other words, where everyone's a victim, and maintain victim predators, put like the theater. They have theater roles. They have people that, when they were kids, had people act fake sides of correlation nature that were commonly, so they make an array of people that are commonly criminally foreign influenced, differentially constantly. In other words, our agencies, therefore both parties, are criminally foreign influenced. When someone says that, because we have actual predicate acts and predicate acts method roles of them in other nations and overt criminal enterprises recorded down to timed instances and uses of them, needing to hide the same finite, active, progressive lies and identity thefts, natures of identity thefts and fraud styles with that. And in other words, a whole bunch of people from Trinity College sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. And Eric Oliveri. And woman I don't know. That Joshua Stryker, I never had any conversation with in my life, is involved with spreading lies and with people on off the state judicial branch offices. Also also recorded, confirmed, and demonstrated involved with police forms with uses of Facebook relative to the confessions that were made to me by strangers in person, by people involved with investigations, investigative courts, and police forms with other countries, with the remote uses of identity ground locations next to news media all locations, but also as people on and off campuses, with this method forcing a quality of fact treatment nature where you say 1-2 sentences where they should have the proper reaction. They don't have the proper reaction. They're blaming it on the police forms with the kids of the school and doctors with the kids in the school that have been pretending with various courts personally involved with them criminally, attaching little kids and their families to fake conversations and words with themselves and with others. And then they ask them questions about that. And they just keep putting it, because they're using time always, too fast, too slow. There's a torture on top of that method of slavery. And so they put words out like reparations to measure the same, and the people who have that done to them, our sophistication, they're measuring each other and us. We're going to be that theater respected or not. So they have people involved with identity thefts and frauds with parties when I was a kid that I used with a time when you're going to walk there with the people involved with identity thefts and frauds that are also involved with life progressions and sequence shifts and falsified police reports. And when it extends where and how people do things, because the interbranch confesses when the little kids are in grammar school. They also do little tricks before then that people don't know, that because from off campuses are influenced on off campuses collusion through other things, boxings with as identity thefts and frauds. So that made and keeps people being not allowed to be able to speak about positive properly, or someone in the background is going to start stealing their identity towards people who are going to hear it that they know are going to be in relationships at that time. In other words, and they've been using, they're recorded pretending other, but they're recorded also consciously using and having been using police equipment to fabricate audio and video. Their roles with online and wire crimes, people that work for AT&T, Chris Walters and Sandra Spada and Antonetta Spada. I'm sorry, girls. And their boyfriends are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with judges and their family members, and their boyfriends with identity thefts and frauds, and roles where they have their shared girlfriends make confessions like Heather Hansen. These are also courts recorded involved with remote uses of real estate agencies, their family members, the people that are going to buy the thing. In other words, they've been using investigators to further predicate acts and uses of identity ground locations, like all along Church Street. Our people are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, having been roles with identity thefts, also in the form of falsified police reports, also in the form of slanders, pretended passions, emotions, uses of any truth they could get to pretend other, and always using them as lies. Because of, in other words, these are also, they recorded, confessed, and demonstrated it has something to do with the drug trades through administrations that the policing of what is Caldor's, it used to be Caldor's, and Kmart. There's like a John DeMoro involved with various overt criminal enterprises and natures of drugs and medicines crimes with men and women. Women also have unique roles, interbranch and private. And they're also involved with the slanders and uses of the sensibilities where everyone's forced to speak through other people. And they're attaching everyone to fake words and locations, including multi-front with WFSB and Fox Connecticut News, NBC Connecticut News. They took posts, some things I wrote on, because you can't record the police. Everyone wants to be private and mind their own business, you know. But when the police, you can't call the police, are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of other people since I was a kid. They attach people to fake words on their locations. Even fake people that never had tried to make a formal police report with them, or informal, try to go in there and speak with them. They pretend other, because these are the police forms on off Fox Connecticut News and the locations next to it with the F.B.I. and with that Robert Chevrolet, the lawyer of Robert Luskin, former director of the F.B.I., former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. They also use that fake complicated and that fake integrity to get over on people with an officer named Darth Vader, per him, which is involved with on and off campus police forms with Trinity College, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with wrongdoing and predicate acts with off-campus investigators. Now they're also involved consciously forging and switching names. They also use my past neighbors were great people. My family, we all love them. They use that, their extended family members and stuff like that, involved with all their friends and things like that, and they involve with them with their sense and sensibilities on and off Trinity College and on and off locations like at the corner of Two Rod Highway and Celestine Highway, which is involved with shopping centers, with the policing of it. They have roles with drugs and medicines, crimes, and other natures of. I think one of the things they are common are identity thefts and frauds. And they always have someone, these are also people that were involved with various natures of federal criminals before they got caught, as ones that were an extension of those with the corruption, with the transition from ACA to RICO, and involved with what I forgot his name. He's involved, one of the ones involved with my town's police chief, and with two Mendez police, and retired and standing policing of the schools, involved with the agencies and their family members, involved with predicate acts into databases, narratives, predicate acts into illusions, and narratives behind where they thought that, in other words, and with that off campuses connected, and uses of that with all locations increasingly relevant. It's also people all along Route 3 are involved with the sequence shift, little slight things too. And in other words, these are three branches of government that are recorded preventing people from calm means to defend themselves. Anyone, including me. Interbranch distinctly. Interbranch distinctly not individually grouped and together too. They have crime methods individually. They have crime methods grouped and together, because the branches of government each say other than they pretend. Boxing's my friend. In other words, I'm speaking at heart for you guys, so you guys don't have to. Because you guys have representatives that have not been following mandated law and have been pretending other. And there are a whole bunch of ways that it's involved with, like a De La Fere family and a John Maiano have roles with courts and with people foreign and domestic, involved with Central Connecticut State University, a whole bunch of people involved with the child campuses through time. And they said, I never had anything in conversation with Kevin Knislis in my life. When we sat near each other, we never had a problem. I minded my own business. And so there was a former Mayor Golden, his daughter, and the people, I don't know, I never saw him on campus, on my middle school campus. I verified one time. I saw that he was in a Mr. Potter's class. Some people had told Mr. Potter, and people all along Rita Swinky, which I liked her, but then people were involved with again differentially criminally foreign influence and pretending other, with people that were not in my class when I was in grammar school, that were pretending other, with people that were in my class, I guess. I don't know. In other words, they ever did, and I don't know. They're putting fake things in databases, and they're keeping people private at the same time as the sense and sensibilities of the interbranch, who did great. I had great teachers when I was in grammar school. The only one I complain about is in both the complaints I found out how they're victim predators. Central Connecticut State University has rules with Mr. Abruzzi and people associated with a Mr. Bernstein and their families, and how they have generations of people involved with military, foreign and domestic, and the intelligence community interbranch, used remotely originally and still. And their sense of sensibility. So they're pretending courts are supposed to have peace, but they're preventing peace outside of courts. Then they're valuing these little trick games they play, where they're gonna misinterpret everything people say, because they've already been doing that consciously. They have already been attaching everyone and the people around them to fake words, including multi-front with the news. And they've been preventing anyone free speech in courts, sickly distinctly from how they've been preventing people from free speech as police, offensively too, and offensively consciously, pretending people spoke with them about, and people tied to them, about what they did to us. So if you try to tell, it sounds like you already did. You try to call it, in other words, they have people that work with Hartford Hospital who have badges and who are doctors, and they have one that are just straight doctors, who are delusions wrought, criminally foreign influenced, and they're with sequence shifts, and with and roles with Facebook, with sexual crimes, and with drug crimes and medicines crimes, with a Judge Killian, fabricating things into records, that's simply, and with a Dr. Zeman, involved with people, with other people involved with the people who used to answer the phones for the Wethersfield police, and their patients and criminals associated with them, personally involved with them on and off the Wethersfield Library, exploiting their roles with people from Korea. They also, Wethersfield police, Joe DeMoro also recorded, confessed, demonstrated the guy confirmed, sought me out per Joe DeMoro. He wants to, that he's involved with them, with this, and also with the overt criminal enterprises and people involved with the programs on and off the colleges, with them involved with them with predicate acts, falsified police reports, identity thefts and frauds, and the locations next to the campuses, and people involved with the fire departments through time, pretending fake things and trying, because they make exceptions because they call people liars. I don't know Joe Aiello. The only contacts I knew are contacts him recorded consciously using and having been consciously using them criminally foreign influenced against me and against the country, sickly distinctly too, differentially, and in relationship to his confessions about his sister's roles with the fire department next to Trinity College, and with with Joe DeMoro, which is also his role as confirmations. I saw him in front of Joe DeMoro, my neighbor. I don't think Joe DeMoro was there with him. He switched sequences and who was there when I did shoot a gun one time, and I was wrong about that. But these are the people that were involved with overt / insidious predicate acts when I was in grammar school, with people then who confessed things that also communicated and demonstrated, confirmed, and recorded roles with live progressions tied to what an O'Brien family of police forms, intercities, was involved with a police family, a house with a police family, a woman that used to be reportedly someone intimately tied to the police chief years ago. And the people now, and my neighbors that used to be here, and their real estate agent moving in, involved with 3 spots at the end of the Burlington Turnpike and on-off Trinity, which is right down the street from Trinity College, and the locations right next to Trinity College with people with identity thefts and frauds instances years ago, and then exploitations of them as their roles with predicate acts that are relevant as people also with names on-off the World Trade Center and on-off uses of it, intercampuses, intra-campuses. Mike Roberts is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. See, how the courts were involved when I was a kid hadn't fully been communicated to me. But I could see it now having been what actually they were communicating to me when seeking me out to play games and lie about what I said to themselves and to others and what they said to me. In other words, because this is also a modern pastry, a family. They lied. A whole bunch of people have a pattern say they lied with people associated with the F.B.I. and with the CIA and with the various overt criminal enterprises roles with those people with predicate acts, and with my town's police chief from 1 year ago tied to that same house with roles of Weathersfield Police, for example, over the past 5 months ago. And before he gets any further, I've been asking for a response. They've been attaching me to fake letters. They had with NBC and Connecticut News. They, for example, with their sources in other news agencies, and their sources in retired and standing police roles, and that with locations next to them when they do this. Not just that too, because when they're forcing that quality of fact-checking nature where no one's allowed to speak, and they're making things up simultaneously. They're also simultaneously covering having been doing that up. And these are the only people allowed to speak. They're using the names crimes and criminals. And they're forcing both parties. They're forcing both networks to keep you guys, to keep either sensibilities that are just going to pretend to be about America all by notions that can't defend themselves, and that logic and the surface values of the Constitution at the same time, and from who could demonstrate that, which is anyone. Like if you're black, you could see the smartest person when they speak about black and white. The Constitution is unabridged, and it is self-valued abridged, and they know that. And a breaching method put that in place. So, okay, the laws were against black, and they were enforcing it. So it was white doing it. Everyone was enforcing laws against everyone, sickly distinctly to keep cultivated groups and fact treatment nature, convictions, and subjects treatments, leaving out the simultaneous. And where and how the simultaneous is being and having been exploited by what really keeps locations here and there criminally forward influence, and everyone needing to punish each other to try to hurt it out. That's all it needs. Boxings, the rest recedes. Not you, Your Honor. I was saying that because the people that know they're guilty are hiding, playing these games with the wire crimes and mail crimes and the names of the police, forging and switching names on police reports. Because before this, they're still in the conversation with me. I'm still waiting for a response. They put me in fake conversations with these two Mendes police, also on off Fox Connecticut News. I'll sign, I won't sue Fox Connecticut News. If you guys follow what's right on time here, these are the same people involved on and off the campuses, with teachers and with their family members, because that's how they have the sense and sensibilities used. They have the families of Luigi Guerrero. They made an exception with him and Paul Zano. The only place time I had anything to do with Luigi Guerrero and Paul Zano is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated their roles with sequence shifts with a Jonathan Maiano, because they had to pretend I knew Jonathan Maiano before I did, which wasn't until 1994. And that's where he made confession things about that. My neighbor was involved with people from my grade, and with people with the police forms, and with the judges involved with the predicate acts and the uses of them, of the overt criminal enterprises on my street and in my area, with timed instances roles. Also, they have a pattern of ties to people with Central Connecticut State University and other police forms. And so these are also people slandering people and pretending that people don't speak clear, as groups that have been pretending us to fake conversations with themselves. And they have also been forging and switching names in falsified police reports. They also have remote uses of black and white predator women involved with Confederate flag and KKK themed all kinds of natures of crime, including medical, with the ones with identity thefts and frauds and falsified police reports roles with them. Database stacking, predicate acts roles on campuses, off campuses, and at people's homes, and over the wire crime methods with the male people. I mean, the people who run Facebook, policing as the police, using the identity of Facebook, inclusion with them, used remotely themselves. In other words, they have Russian family. They have a Tom Peruta. I had nothing to do with Tom Peruta ever. The only exception that was exception he was forced to make, apparently, and demonstrably, and others that they would make exceptions. Then their roles would later exploited and roles with people on Central Connecticut State University involved with identity thefts and frauds with them, sequence shifts, slanders, people, and they also have roles with the corners. Tom Peruta said, others confirmed. You know, they have sensibilities with people with the Wethersfield Fire Department, with Russians that are also involved with a Russian woman. With the doctors forging and switching names, and making other people that are involved with the people who answered the phones for the Wethersfield police involved with drugs and medicines crimes and untimely deaths and uses of the coroner's roles with the agencies and with the courts, with the locations crimes together. They've been lying about what went down at locations so they could exploit that knave they are here and there. And the people and the controls they have over the criminal foreign influences, over the individuals that lead and the groups that lead, and all the leadership of the prisons kept needing to hide the same life progressions with them. Subject material I only know, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with people playing fake sides of arrays of issues and relationships to crime treatments and time treatments they were making on court instances. In other words, as people involved with the buildings of downtown Hartford and with a Mark Violet and a Mike Violet, and people involved with the locations near Hartford Hospital and on Franklin Avenue, with the narratives that are culturally charged, because these are also people with the foreign and domestic countries that share roles with the doctors involved with the recorded and confessed predicate acts methods, attaching people to fake words that they didn't even have any words with. A whole detailed fake conversations about legal cases and those are the people that are personally involved with sequence shifts and a whole bunch of different natures of federal crimes with federal criminals in those cases. Also, that were all and ones that were ongoing, like one that was ongoing, a case /S that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. Also, with Hartford Hospital, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed through their patients, through their doctors and through their patients, rules with foreign and domestic medical families, with overt criminal enterprises, with timed instances, roles, and uses of them on my street. Also as people with direct and indirect ties to people next to the other 5 locations I lived, who also have roles with relevant predicate acts and falsified police reports and wire crimes with the Wethersfield police calling me up and bringing up the name Sullivan too, They have an officer named Sullivan who's a woman. They have a man who used her name first. It sounded like a kid cracked his voice, like he's being, criminally foreign influence, rolls with the uses of the Wethersfield town offices. These are people through time since I was a kid. Uses of on campuses, off campuses, and private on-off private database relationships, and their family members kept needing to hide the same lie progression sequence shifts. Confessions and uses of confessions tied to corners and the people that live there and their relativity to it. So I don't know those people. All exceptions that were they may try to make exceptions, and that's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated relevant to what they said that Dean Alford or someone pretending to be him and or him, and they switched the names. Anyway, on Facebook, relevant. It said that confirmed also that Joshua Stryker was spying on me to attach lies to whatever truths he could find out, because he'd been involved with identity thefts and frauds. And with people that involved further with the corners of the streets, recorded and confessed by the people in the past, having been in part of their dialogue in the rare instances I know them. And that was also made to keep me listening to them without, in why courts, they jump in and say, well, why do you do that? Because there are laws that say you're supposed to respond to things. And if you respond to them correctly, you'll get hurt for it. They demonstrate this when you're in grammar school. If you're not one of the kids that's of the three branches, or the military, or the medical families, or the people tied to databases. Many ways. They have all identities of sophistication, delusions, rot, criminally foreign influence, uses of time treatments, the way their job is told to do. Because you have to have it told to do through the campuses. This is a criminally re-engineered, sick, intercampuses system. /S. I taught best. Vaccines. So they also have roles forging and switching names, letters and evidences and emails, and making them disappear. Like poems I did write. Who knows if they retyped them what? They also retyped things. Pretty sure they did that because they were breaking into an apartment. And the only reason I went back to that apartment is because that girl, in other words, we got back together because that girl asked for help. She was scared. Not by accident. Those aren't legitimate people training police forms and undercover people associated with the Gill family next to Central Connecticut State University and his roles with various ownerships of the buildings around there and their family members, with judges and prosecutors and with their family members and neighbors involved with various natures of abuses of each age of fact-cheating nature and uses of how they have roles legitimately with all the things there are so they could stay, ready to know about things because everything's juxtaposed with a whole bunch of native countries, a whole bunch of cultures. No. White was cultivated as a slave forced to be roles with the crazy laws that made white a thing. They were a fact-cheating nature slave. And our founding parents, we shouldn't have to debate with people that are using sick language, calling us names, including medical ones, where we have the medical community recorded delusions, rot, criminally foreign influence, and how using methods to hide it, by fabricating audio and video into databases, by self-valuing that having been perpetrated already. So there is a Ray Reynolds that also confirmed men and women of the intelligence community and doctors and for people that are with state police. I don't know Ray Reynolds. He sought me out to confess and confirm and demonstrate things. Ray Reynolds, he was also involved with people next to my uh, a school that closed. When I went to 1 year at it, to it, with a kindergarten. And then he, there's some people next to that. There's a DeMoro family that lives near it. There's people with the military and people. These are people for a whole bunch of ways. Criminally foreign influence, delusions raw, involved with the courts and the police forms, with predicate acts in my street also, with the medical community, with overt criminal enterprises, with sequence shifts, with predicate acts roles, with databases into databases of kids' campuses and adults' campuses and fire campuses, medical campuses, and off rolls with off that. Joe DeMore and others confessed and recorded rolls where Walker Hill has that. I keep forgetting to check the name of that road. I believe it's Wells Road. I mean the route. Walker Hill and Wells, and there are houses there, and people with that location are involved with investigators through time, insidiously involved with overt criminal enterprises and with private ones, simultaneously kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite, active, progressive lies. They also have the other end of the street, Walker Hill and Knott Street. There are people that a Spada family told me, and they confirmed, also rules with people associated with the judges' families, like with the Delafair family, is involved with people with fire departments and judges, involved with criminal foreign influence, roles with the databases, and falsified police reports, identity thefts and frauds, and juxtaposed natures. Like, see how they have reported kids doing all these bad things now? In other words, they make those kids and gangs swear themselves in and do bad things so they can because their people are pretending that it's biological when they know they have roles with the exploitation of each location, each city, sickly distinctly. We have some sick people involved with the exploitation of that fake quality of fact, cheap in nature, that pretends it has the capability, it has the right to force peaceful communications when they know they are the ones that have been preventing it there, leading up to there, and at the locations of crime scenes, and leading up to those crimes and crime scenes, because they have roles with it. That's what's actually recorded. Now, I'm not saying that we should all turn around and smack them in prison. And the prisons are kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, lie progressions with them. Then they have the kids of the people in the background while they delay, because they're involved. So they say, they're just pretending they're just doing evil things with the overt criminal enterprises and foreign timed, because they heard you saying things online. I don't know Subby Bajerio. He sought me out to record, confess, and demonstrate his roles with fabricated police reports and reuses of them way worse, and identity thefts and frauds, with judges and prosecutors fabricating things into databases with him and with people associated on and off the state prison offices, on and off campuses I did go to. Now he's got his kids going there. And he's got that, in other words, they were hiding lie progressions. I don't know what grammar school he went to. I don't think he went to my grammar school, Subby Bajerio. I don't know Subby Bajerio. And his kids, you guys, these are courts that sought me out with the police forms to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm that. There's a girl with a daughter of one of the Leahys. They have a whole bunch of people in their family, all ages of them. One of them, the daughter, sought me out on Facebook, or someone using her picture, because her principal, her father was Rolls, and her father and mother and her grandfather and other members of their family are Rolls with Hartford Hospital, for sticking fake conversations with people into databases with other agencies and with military. Including, so these are one fake sides. And that's maintained, because then they defend their identities. There are all kinds of fact-cheating nature predicate acts when they make opinions for example, relative to what we actually type on Facebook, the relativity of the value of the worth of what we actually of what we say on YouTube. There are police forms with badges that are foreign and domestic that are using psychology's physical delusions and theories. And there also has rules criminally foreign influence with offensive rules crimes, methods that are exploiting that nature of courts and of police that are forging names, switching names, and fabricating audio and video with people that have been doing it on and off campuses, including medical ones, simultaneously, and with their family members through time, trying to film fake things and fake ties to themselves and their family members and people tied to their family members and their drugs cliques and medicines cliques that pretend other people. Those are the people supposed to be against that. People doing drugs and stuff. Those are the people doing it, and they're forcing it on people and have been. So we'll see is why, because I caught them with the exits, people with the exits near in West Hartford near Central Connecticut State University through time, also with a Joe DeMauro, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated on Marcello, and Marco Mancini also involved with them with the former Mayor Gold, and people intercities involved with like New Hartford and things like that, or not New Hartford, where Powder Ridge used to be, and there's developments there now. In other words, there's an intelligence community people that are criminally foreign influence, also with forensics locations. Whiting's Forensics has rules with predicate acts with the same house that my town's police chiefs had rules with through time. And they also have language using drugs when they communicate. And you know, they have a nasty nature outside of court and they're fake. They have also people roles with all the patients and criminals involved with confessions that sought me out to it. Especially some of them. One of them said that he was implied that he was undercover, which implies them all. And so, in other words, there's also people that we can get the name of involved with assault against me and threatening me, and he couldn't back it up. A little kid, like you know. But then what they did is, and this is the one involved with the people in my location. I never saw in my area, my location, my street, or the streets near me in my life. I only saw him one time. He recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, non-verbally, consciously. His rules with a fart when he went by my face when I was near a computer in Weathersfield Library. His rules with the mother of a James Smith and a David Smith involved with the fire department and the Weathersfield Police Department, as people that involved with answering the phones with them through time, as people involved with managers of Stop and Shops, intercities through time, involved as one of the places, and since before it was Stop and Shop. So it's more, it shows that and how there are policing forms and judges and their family members involved with the identity thefts and frauds and remote uses of locations and the sequence shifts and whatever is involved with why they brought Mr. Abruzzi up into all their confessions regarding Central Connecticut State University through time, involved with predicate acts with grammar schools and with people that live next to the schools, with identity thefts and frauds, and remote uses of fire departments and of insurance company investigators and of their family members, and where they socially play football, flag football, perceive and speak about things. Also, Eric Burgess and Joe Dennis and others recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed there are people from Hartford courts and people associated with the FBI and the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. They didn't use his name, but he was recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed, involved with his depositions, the depositions of them leading up to and in the a 2006 district court case. Also has their roles with predicate acts with people tied to and as. And Eric Mendez and his brother has shifting names. Put me in fake quotations, communications with him, with the people involved with forging names. Also, Phil Cololo is Bob Chase recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed that Phil Cololo was also involved with them, forging and switching falsified police reports and drugs and medicines crimes and physical delusions with this. Bob Chase involved with various natures of courts and people associated with them and prisons tied to them that are involved with crimes through time with kids of each age of nature. And this is like, and their doctors involved with all kinds of natures of drugs and medicines crimes. Discernible when you have them follow mandated law. Now these are people who are involved with methods of hiding when they get caught or where they're going to get caught for not following mandated law. That's how, for so long, things that are simultaneous to the same old subjects treatments are never allowed spoken about. And where and how they get away with offensively pretending people that were in the same locations, in the same age range as people that don't even know them, could go online and pretend other. With the people that would insidiously, with the people that were in our classes were like that, they'll pretend things that they wouldn't pretend if you ask them, oh, we could lie. It's not record. These are the people involved with the courts, though. They can't lie when they're involved with offensive evidence reception racketeering, with the interbranch forging names and switching names. The courts switch names. They have remote uses of the state's attorneys, what they did, what they need to hide. They increasingly self-value how the culture's overt criminal enterprises were used by themselves and by the other countries, in collusion with themselves and other countries on and off the campuses, kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite, active, progressive lies. So there are women that would sought me out to record, confess, and demonstrate sequence shifts, roles. Also, for example, one girl sought me out when she was a little kid when I came around the corner. They were consciously sending people I didn't know with good and bad things when I came around corners. And both the good and bad were used for criminally foreign influenced predicate acts roles. Now, see, I could discern this because my campuses did good things and were good people. If someone called me a name in the background because you heard that you didn't understand what I was saying, also know they made fake Facebook pages to be me, pretending to be me. People associated with the Wethersfield police and other police forms personally involved with their families criminally, and with the judges, so we could discern through time how they've been hiding, how the other police firms have been involved with the rude, worse than rude police corruption. And really what is involved with uses, with keeping the people being rude to the police, because they're keeping the syntax of the police needing to justify things without explaining their roles with other police forms, to have them offensively pig traders, pretending other, and getting away with it because they hide and plot. And they exploit how no one's going to follow mandated law outside of courts. This is a trap that makes it incapable of being. So, how many people, how many cities they have this? The suburbs were designed to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, so they could propagate people to other motivations, natures, needs, interests, to entertain what was forced to entertain, to self-value their roles with it, causing negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and pretending other for the breaching method. Their roles pretending other through real other motivations, natures, needs, interests, but even that was used remotely. We need a quality of fact treatment nature to counter criminal insidiousness nature that is informally private, informally overt criminal enterprises, informally services people in exception nature that works with the three branches of government, and informally killers, and informally the people next to the body dumping spots, when asked about those things, relative to that, and then relative to other conversations and uses of people's names and perception with that. They've been using the location near the exits where the serial killer's body dumping spot, real or made up. That person too. Real or made up, even if it was a cop and they made the whole story and he's undercover. That location is involved with Central Connecticut State University. That person, that serial killer, is involved with Detective Samuda and other people that switch names, forge names, put me in fake locations, fake ties to themselves as detectives, falsified police reports roles with black and white female judges, with KKK-themed, Confederate flag-themed military police, with the forging and switching names roles, with a black one, and uses of that. All exceptions in exception nature are in demonstration of the same thing. I had to raise my voice one time. When they use anytime they use their job correctly, after they've already been in the department, self-valuing, uses of themselves criminally foreign influence, they use that to hide other things, box things. And we'll examine. So they use that location. They use the because they're the ones that instigated why I had to yell to other people to tell them to call the cops. I'm not going to tell them why. Box saying. So, and I mean, in other words, we can't record the police, but they can record it themselves because that's why they have the nonverbal confessions and confirmations involved. As the people that are involved with predicate acts, I don't know if Trinity College, I don't know the names of my old neighbors. I know Cleesa, Mr. and Mrs. Cleesa, God rest their souls. But I don't know the names of their grandkids and their daughter. And they had switching names, and Lewis is one of them. And there's a Lewis family up the street. Involved also with a daughter, I don't know her name. She swerved the car at me one time. She went like that because I threw my hat. I don't know her. That was the only interaction I had with her. And that was also involved with people that a guy with the name Britt from Hartford Hospital is a nurse, stood in front of me and said the name DeSimone, and I had no reaction. He's also involved with people that like say it, don't spray it stuff. In other words, and some patients and criminals, or even if they're undercover, they're sick, so they're really patients. And now these are people with UConn. They also have involvements with lawyers and legal programs, involved with overt criminal enterprises that are involved with on and off campuses, roles stacking fabricated audio and video into databases, roles from off campuses influencing teachers, saying to them things like, although this person's a liar, so say it to this way. And they attach kids to fake locations, fake words, and they make no sense, and then people go. That's why then those kids get in trouble, because bad things there are other people are facilitating, really set up. Then those kids stay involved with it, and they put them to jails. And those people with the jails were already the ones involved with way worse natures of predicate acts, including fact-cheap nature-oriented ones, and sequence shifts, and uses of that. What really keeps the overt criminal enterprises are rules with what is using and having used what is inter-campuses and intra-campuses. And even each campus, it is inter and intra exploited. So there is a Joe Aiello. I mean, there is a Eric Oliveri, and there was a woman associated. There were people and a woman associated with her, associated with Trinity College, who have roles with people who confirmed roles with, as people associated with federal criminal crimes